It's a pet's life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit apetslife.ie.
Yes, and a very good morning, man.
Hiya, John. Great to be here as usual.
So good, I pressed it twice. There you go. Stop.
By vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet.
There you go. We love you so much, Des. We said we'd give you a second.
I love you too, John.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
What can I say? Anyway, how are you?
Good, thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah. Did you have a good bank holiday, by the way?
Did. Great bank holiday. Went to see Munster play, believe it or not.
Oh, you went down there,
Yeah,
did you?
myself and the young lad are great rugby fans, and we follow Leinster. We'd never been to Thomond. We said, you know what, I'd love to see Munster play live. So we went down to Thomond.
Yeah, then they're
Enjoyed
pretty
watching
good.
them play,
Well,
yeah.
They're always good to watch when they're on a roll.
They are. They are.
I know, yeah, but fair dues to you. Okay, matters at hand, short and sweet. Well, it's not short and sweet. Going away, it's that time of the year, so you have to get your animals ready and prepared as well, don't you?
Yeah, I thought I'd say a few words about this because we're very busy at the moment in the surgery with requests for pet passports and giving people information about what they need to do before they go on holidays themselves, especially if they want to bring the dog with them. So there are great options there in terms of bringing the dog or leaving the dog at home. So let's talk about what happens if you want to bring your dog on holidays, be it home or abroad.
Okay, so in simple terms, do the rules change from country to country? Do the rules actually change if you're flying or if you're going by boat? Or how does it work? So let's go right back at the very beginning. I'm thinking of going on my holidays. I want to bring my cat with me. Not that you bring cats on holidays.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know where I'm coming from. So let's go with it.
Well, Brexit has made things difficult, so we'll get to that in a minute. But in general, the good news is there's a free travel scheme within the EU.
What's that mean?
For pets. Meaning there's a nice EU passport, a blue passport, which can be issued from the country of origin anywhere within the EU. And providing the passport is kept valid, kept up to date, and a couple of important vaccination requirements within the passport, then an animal can freely travel between EU countries without any other, we'll say, difficult documentation.
Is it a general case of vaccinations that you would use for EU, or does it vary if you turn around and say, right, I'm going over to, the eastern side of Europe rather than kind of down to Spain or over to France? Is there different vaccinations?
Within the EU, they're all the same. That's the good news. So you give a rabies vaccination. Now, the only time we're permitted as vets to give a rabies vaccination in this country is if, to our knowledge, the animal is for export. In other words, going abroad.
Okay.
Otherwise, Ireland is rabies free.
Yeah.
So a country that has rabies-free status, a country that's free of any disease, typically indigenous animals within that country then are not vaccinated against whatever that given disease might be. So we do not vaccinate for rabies or against rabies unless you're getting a passport and you're going out of Ireland to another EU country.
Okay, very simple. Right, so that's it. What type of vaccinations are they?
That's just a simple injection. We give the rabies vac. Now, the passport is generally issued the day the rabies vaccination is given. The Department of Agriculture issues us a certain number of serial numbers of the blue EU passports, and we fill them in the veterinary surgery. The microchip barcode is a vital thing. Your dog must be microchipped. If it's not microchipped, we'll put the microchip in at the same time as giving the rabies vaccine. Fill in all the owner's details, describe the dog, etc. Write in the barcode of the microchip, write in the serial number of the rabies vaccination and the manufacturer of the rabies vaccination, and then we'll issue the passport. And that animal can travel 21 days from the date of the rabies vaccination.
Okay, Karen, quick as a flash, do I have to get boosters every year? We have a holiday home in France which we bought last year, and we bring our 2 dogs with us.
The rabies vac is valid for 3 years.
Okay, very good.
The other boosters, yes, I would do them. Believe it or not, the annual 7-in-1 vaccination that we give here is not required for travel, but it's highly advised. If you're leaving your own jurisdiction, even just going down the country, you should make sure and have the annual vaccinations up to date, because kennel cough and leptospirosis and all these things, particularly seaside areas, they are very prevalent.
Okay. When it comes to, so the plan is 3 weeks beforehand, is that what you're saying?
3 weeks beforehand, the passport is issued, and the rabies vac is given, and the microchip is checked, and the passport is filled in. Now, then you can travel 21 days later. But
go on.
the but is there's a page at the back of the passport that has to be filled in by your local vet before you leave, and that's a little fitness to travel. It's a little one-line cert at the back of the passport. I certify that this animal is fit to travel. And that has to be signed and stamped by a vet 24 to 72 hours before you leave.
Okay, that makes sense as well. Yeah, absolutely. What's the cost for it, by the way?
What's the cost for about €80 for the passport?
For the passport.
Yeah.
So
the rabies vac's usually about 50.
And the validation of the passport was 3 or 4 years?
Yes. Could cost you 130 to 150 altogether for the issuing of the passport and the shots. Now, then you'll have the little pre-health check before you go every time. Now, for the UK, they require tapeworm and tick treatment.
Okay.
There's another little page in the passport the day before you go, a tapeworm treatment and a tick treatment, and the brand name and the serial number of that treatment goes into the passport as well the day before you go.
Okay, so the demand you're saying is pretty high at the moment because we're coming into holiday seasons and people seem to want to bring their animals more often than kenneling them.
Yeah.
That seems to be the norm.
That's it.
It's predominantly people going away to the likes of France. Is that where it is?
Yeah, the easiest and best way, probably, and the cheapest way to travel with a family pet, with a dog or cat, is to have it in the car with you and go by ferry.
Right.
But people do also travel by air with their dogs. Now, travelling by air, taking a flight with a very small dog is relatively easy. A lot of airlines nowadays allow you to bring a dog on board, providing it's under a certain weight, I think 8 kilograms, and can fit into a handbag.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. You see lots of little dogs, even going as far as New York. There was a customer of mine, young girl in Kildare, travelled to New York with her little dog, a little miniature dachshund.
Where did he sit beside her?
Sat beside her in a little bag on the plane.
Class.
Believe it or not, yeah. So you can bring small dogs on a flight. Larger dogs, I'd hesitate to recommend flying with a larger dog unless it's for a longer period of time, because the larger dogs have to arrive to the airport 6 to 8 hours before the flight. They have to be crated. They have to go into one of those special travel crates.
Yeah.
And they have to be taken in by a Department of Agriculture official and loaded up on the plane into cargo.
Okay.
So certain flights won't allow. Now, the average probably Ryanair package flight, off to Tenerife, probably doesn't have room in the cargo for dogs. So if you're bringing a bigger dog anywhere, first of all, I'd only recommend travelling a bigger dog if it's for a couple of weeks or more. And secondly, you want to plan that well in advance and use one of the 2 pet carrier services that are available at the airport. So there are 2 companies based at the airport that organise transportation for you, because they will book your dog on a flight for you. Because if it's a big dog and you're travelling him, say, to Greece or Turkey for a month, he may not be able to go on the same flight as you. He might have to go on an earlier flight or a later flight in a crate, in which case he'd be in an airport kennel or an airport holding area for you when you arrive.
Yeah, okay. What about people who are using ferries?
Ferries, not so bad. Ferries have a little kenneling area down close to the carport.
Okay, so that's what they do. They just put them into the kenneling area.
When you arrive, get out of your car and you're on deck, there's a kenneling area at the end of the decking, at the end of the carport.
Very good.
A lot of these ferries.
Have you done that before?
I have. Where you put the dog into a kennel area, and they're happy and they're safe and they're fine. And once you're not permitted to go back down to them, that's the only thing. So you do need to make sure that they're secure and happy, and they have their bed, they have their food, they have their water. You won't be allowed to revisit the dog until the word is given that you're embarking. Disembarking.
Disembarking, I should say, not embarking. Disembarking, and that's when you're able to go and get your dog and bring him into your vehicle. How popular it is generally travelling, but demand seems to be pretty high. You were saying because you're busy.
Demand is high. Yeah. People have holiday homes now in the UK and in France, and Spain, and they're accustomed to bringing the animals with them for a period of time. It's easier the second time. The first journey can be a little bit stressful for the animal and a little bit worrying for yourself. If you got into the habit of doing it, it becomes easier the second time. Okay,
and that leads me nicely on to general travelling with pets, excluding the vaccinations and passport. What type of stuff and tips would you be giving?
Now, you see, for instance, imagine you have a holiday home booked in Cornwall or whatever, or you're going to Central Parks in the UK, lovely family holiday, you can bring the dog with you for sure if you have a chalet booked or whatever it is, holiday cottage. But you want to plan your journey, plan where you're going to stop to let the dog out for a walk and a drink and a meal. So you'd want to have the map out and do a good bit of research on Google and figure out, say, right, okay, if I'm going to drive to Nottingham or Dover or Cornwall, then there's a certain amount of time. Obviously, you've a few hours, we'll say Dunleary to Holyhead or Rosslare to Fishguard. You'll be able to take the dog out in Fishguard and let him have a little walk, go to the toilet, stretch his legs and stretch your own legs before you begin the second part of your journey. So your arrival in Fishguard after, we say, 4 to 6 hours on board might not be too bad. You'll have a chance to have a walk about. Now, then, if you load up in Fishguard, that's only the first part of your journey. Maybe you have a 6 hour or an 8 hour car drive, whatever it is, to the south of England somewhere, to a holiday camp. You should also plan where the next stop is going to be, a motorway service station where your dog is going to be allowed to have a meal and a toilet break, because what will happen is the dogs will get travel fever. That's a type of a stressful condition, an infection they can carry, which can be caused by dehydration or changes in temperature and stress, all mixed together. And it has been known to happen where if the stoppages and the breaks are not adequately planned, any more than, we say, 4 to 6 hours without a break can be too long for some dogs, especially a very young dog or a very old dog.
Yeah, and that makes sense as well, because if you're driving down, say, the south of France, or you're driving down over a 10-hour journey or an 8-hour journey, regardless, I mean, you have to take pit stops and breaks regardless of that for humans anyway, and that's a good opportunity to take the pit stops for the animals.
Yeah, you do. Now, it's very doable. I know a lady, a client of mine, who lives in Nurney, County Kildare, and imported a dog from the Ukraine at the time of when the war first broke out. She had been in touch with a breeder over there that was breeding Caucasian Shepherds, which are a lovely large breed of dog, endemic to Kazakhstan and Afghanistan and a few of these places. Yep. And they're very popular in the Ukraine. And this breeder had a litter of pups, and they needed to move themselves because the war was on their doorstep, and the farm was being more or less taken over by the military. So there was a lady in Ukraine exported her puppies, managed to sell them online and exported them. And one particular puppy was put on a train in Ukraine and went on a train to Poland.
Brilliant. Was
met in Poland by a man with a van and was driven from Poland all the way up through the continent and through the Channel Tunnel to the south of England. And this lady drove from Kildare across the ferry and met the Polish man in the south of England. And then stayed there for a day, give the dog a rest, give the dog a break.
Excellent. That's
and brought it back to Kildare to live a happy life.
Yep. And that's the way.
So it's very doable.
Yeah, it is very doable as well. So things that we'd also like to do. What about when you go away to foreign lands with your animal, with your dog? What about diet?
Try and bring your own food with you.
Okay.
If you can, yeah. The least change, the better, you know.
The best for the dog.
Dogs do get sick when they're in strange places, eating different food, drinking different water.
Simple as that.
So bring your own food with you if you can. Particularly if you're travelling by car, obviously you can do that. Yeah. Much easier to do so. I would recommend it. Now, a word about coming back from the UK.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very advisable to have an EU passport coming and going between Ireland and the UK, because since Brexit, they've brought in an unwieldy booklet of a travel cert, an export form that vets over there have to fill in, and because there's a lot of paperwork and bureaucracy involved in it, they're charging a lot for this. So I would say to Irish people based in the UK, or people who come and go between here and the UK regularly, if they're going to bring a pet, get an EU passport. The vets over there much prefer to stamp and sign the EU passport coming back in, rather than having to produce the documents from their end.
Yeah, that makes sense as well.
Yeah. Now, getting into the UK, they're fussy about the tick and tapeworm treatment. coming back this way from the UK to here, not so much.
Okay, good stuff. A couple of general questions coming in. First of all, my Jack Russell bitch, age 2, keeps eating her paws and scratching for the last few weeks. Gave her a worm dose. Still doing the scratching. Do I need to go to the vet and get something? Have another Jack Russell who's not doing much scratching at the moment. Any advice?
That's a little seasonal allergy caused by grass mites.
Okay.
I'd be quite sure that that's what that is.
Why is the other one not getting it then?
Because the other one's skin isn't as sensitive.
Okay.
So you have a sensitivity there. The little dog with the itch, with the scratch, yes. The fact that there's no obvious infestation there, you can't say it's just the parasites that's causing the itch. It's actually the dog's own reaction in its own skin. So that dog does need an antihistamine or a steroid tablet for a couple of weeks during the itchy scratchy, during the grass mite season.
Okay.
And a treatment for grass mites. And occasionally in these cases, the topical spray, such as Frontline or Amflea, is better on the feet than the spot-on, because the spray has a repellent effect and keeps the grass mites away.
Okay, Brian was on. He says, just a quick question for you, Des. Do ants, as in ants that are on tarmac and on our patio, have any impact on our dog? My dog is always rolling on the patio.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. No. They don't burrow in, or they don't live in the skin or anything.
No, that type of ant that you'd see in your patio doesn't infest the dog in any way. No, so I actually wouldn't worry about that. It is. I wouldn't worry about ants at all. No.
Good stuff indeed. I was just curious because I often see my cat's kind of rolling, or my cat rolling around out in the patio, and the neighbour's cat rolling around. There's loads of ants everywhere, and I was just curious that it have any impact on them at all whatsoever. No,
don't think so.
No. Okay, very good. Okay, it's not something you come across as well. Des, a couple of weeks ago we were talking about spot on. Is now the time to do it?
Yeah. Definitely. If you haven't done one within the last couple of months, definitely get one and do one now.
How often would you then redo it?
If this weather continues monthly for the summer, high risk dogs that are out and about in long grass a lot, or if there's woodland, bogland, or farmers' crops in the neighbourhood, then I would do it monthly.
Okay, fair enough. Yvonne was on. Jack Russell question again. She says that around the back of her 2-year-old Jack Russell, it's very raw looking at the moment, and there's not much hair on the back of the ear.
Back of the ears, ear mites.
Ear mites.
Yes. A topical treatment into the ears.
That time of the year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a treatment in the ears required. So those ear drops such as Canoral, Surulin, they'd be the good ones, sort of thing. There's another one, very, very good one, a one-off treatment called Neptra. They contain an antiparasitic as well as an anti-inflammatory, so they help to treat the ear mites. Okay.
Des, we're travelling to France in the next couple of weeks. We're bringing a Labrador, and we're also bringing a Jack Russell. Jack Russell season today.
Brilliant.
A Jack Russell. Is there anything we need to do regarding them?
Yeah, you do need to. So this listener will have passports for those two dogs already. Just a reminder, do make the appointment for the pre-travel check the day before you go. That's vital. Yeah. Now, again, I probably shouldn't say this, but the Department of Agriculture officials here at the ports, they can often be too busy and they can wave people through. But at the other end, they are, particularly within France actually, they're real sticklers for checking what's arriving. And they would be very fussy about dogs and cats arriving and any little blip in your paperwork, and they'll hold you up or send you back.
Most people don't bring cats on holidays, do they?
No.
I
wouldn't really recommend. The problem with bringing a cat somewhere is you can't let him out.
You can't let him out. When you go off him, that's it, and you won't be seen.
He'll be gone.
Hi, John. Des, my dog actually got bitten by ants, as did myself, while weeding quite recently, says Margaret.
Yeah, a little bit of an allergic reaction. You see the odd ones getting hives.
Yeah.
From it. Again, if you were even just to use the Amflea or the Frontline spray intermittently, or the monthly spot on, that wouldn't be, and it would have a good repellent effect.
Yeah, I suppose, look, I can understand that if there's a few ants floating around the back of a dog or wherever, and the dog gets irritated, he's going to react, and the ants are going to react to the dog trying to scratch the ants
that's all,
off.
But it's harmless enough, and there'll be no infestation.
And bite's not going to do any harm anyway.
Wasps can be an issue too, you know. Some dogs, believe it or not, are allergic to wasps.
Are they?
Yeah. Now, I've never seen a fatal case or anything too serious, but you will often find allergic reactions around the head and face, swollen eyes, swollen nose, swollen lips in response to a wasp or a bee sting. In those situations, an antihistamine injection is often indicated.
Okay, good stuff indeed. Right, there you go, some top tips. Great Des coming into us. That was a quick 21 minutes. Thank you for dropping in, and it was a very topical subject, and reminding you as well, we'll be podcasting this episode a little bit later on this afternoon, and as always, with thanks to Des Green Vets, of course, It's a Pet's Life, Jim Dog, and we are most definitely looking forward to doing it all again next Tuesday, not Wednesday, Tuesday.